We knew something wasn't quite right even the first day.
It did not leak when they bought the house. Roofer comes in, puts in a whole new roof, and we had leaks everywhere.
We thought we did everything right. We got the multiple quotes, we checked references.
This is half a lake here. This is not what I want to see for a brand new roof.
When we called for them to fix it, they couldn't come because they were all at the Christmas party.
I'm gonna pull it all up, we'll re-slope it. We have the run, so we only have to build it up enough to slope this away.
My 16-month-old daughter sleeps under the part of the roof that is the worst part.
Mike Holmes, did they actually do this roof?
No, they didn't. Motherfuckers. You want a good job? Keep me in shape. Okay, contractor. God, I love my job.
We moved here because we thought it's a great place to start out. It was our first house. Before that, we lived in another part of Toronto in an apartment. In the process of buying the house, one of the things that we did was we got our house inspected. So one of the recommendations that the house inspector came back with was, he said, there's a couple of things that absolutely need to be done, and one of them was the roof.
So the funny thing is, it did not leak when they bought the house. Roofer comes in, puts in a whole new roof, and we had leaks everywhere.
We've had to cut attic access so that we could monitor the roof because there was leaks. We were actually taking buckets of water out of the attic for some time. So what we did was we phoned the company and we said, look, this work hasn't been done properly. You need to come and look at it. And that's at the same time when we found out that the first crew had been fired. Apparently they'd done poor work on our house and on another house.
When she calls him back in, she says, we have so much water sitting around the skylight. He says, hey, you only paid me to resheet the roof. You didn't pay me to level the roof.
The second crew to come back were here for a very short period of time. It's very frustrating because their business is to give us a roof that doesn't leak and make some money, and they are in turn supposed to give us a dry house. That's not what happened. The most unnerving part at this point is the fact that the roof that is the worst is the flat roof that is over Sophia's bedroom. And I am so afraid that when the leak happens, she's going to be the one that bears the brunt of it.
Daniel, nice to see you again.
See you.
Sandra?
Hi, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Let's go take a look at this roof. Band-aid after Band-aid, he fixed a few areas. Had a massive leak around the vent stack that was coming in big time around Christmas, and she phoned them up, and he goes, well, all my guys are getting ready for Christmas, so she did exactly what I liked, and she called another roofing company, and they came in the next day, and they stopped the leak.
We thought we did everything right. We thought we got the multiple quotes, we checked references, we spoke to them about the work that was going to be done, and it's incredibly frustrating because every time it rains, to this day, we are running around this house waiting for another leak to happen.
He had said to her, it's normal to have water build up on there. It's a flat roof. It's okay. It's not okay. We have to think of freezing. We have to think of water getting in.
We found most of the quotes came in around a certain point. And what we did was we decided on this one company because we checked their references. Everybody said that they had done a good job, they showed up on time, they had done the work that was promised. It was pretty positive.
It's nice to see that there's a slope from left to right here, at least 5-inch drop. That's preferable for a flat roof. I understand you're a little afraid of heights, so I brought my handy cam. I'm gonna go up and take some pictures. We're gonna come back downstairs, look on the monitor, and we'll see what we come up with.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, what I see here is one hell of a lot of water. I mean, we have a proper slope here, but unfortunately, what we had over the years is a dip in the roof. This is where the leak was, so the second company that came in did fix this. They even put a 90 on the top here, just to keep water from going in case it was leaking from inside. On all the shingles that I do see just irregular shingles. We have two different types of shingles up here besides the original. The flashing is correct. Underneath the skylight, it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. It's nice and neat. All the water we see here, it's only a matter of time before it gets in there again. This is not what I want to see for a brand new roof. So what did they do wrong? They did not communicate it to the people here saying, hey, we're gonna have to do some resheeting up there. We're gonna have to slope it out a bit. We have the run, so we only have to build it up enough to slope this away. We don't want the water sitting on the roof. There's nothing wrong at all with the asphalt on the top, the flashing. Actually, I do see a crack in the flashing up there. Flashing here, I'm a little disappointed because I'm gonna see a lot of holes in the flashing, exposed nails, proper caulking across the top, but you can see the exposed nails. See this? This should have been sealed. Same as this side here, we have a hole in the flashing here. Bit by bit, it's going to continue to drip, and it could cause rot, it could cause mold, so it is an issue. We can see next door, 3 skylights, well done, no water whatsoever, and it poured rain last night, didn't it?
Yeah. We've had a lot of neighbors telling us, do you know how much water is sitting on your roof?
Well, it's funny because as I was standing up there, I get to look around at all the roofs, and there's a guy over here that he's got more water than you do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this neighbor right here is just beautiful, same as the one with the 3 skylights across this way. Well, now to fix this and make it right, we're gonna have to pull it all up again. We're gonna have to true it up. And when I say true, I'm not leveling it. I want it off level, but I want it true. I don't want a cup. So we're gonna true it up. From there, we will do proper flashing. I have to pull the skylight so I can get it up underneath the skylight. We'll get it up underneath the shingles, and then we will videotape a little bit for you, show what we did do, and we'll sit right back down here again, and we'll make this right for you. We're gonna see no puddles.
Perfect.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Good,
Thanks.
Mike.
Hey guys, I guess the game plan for today, we'll start just by stripping it down. We'll pull it up, we're gonna resheet it. We'll shim up the area. What the idea is because we have a dip in there now, which is holding all the water around the skylight, we're just gonna true it up, even bring it higher around that skylight so we keep it away from the skylight and have it run off the edge. Sounds good?
Good.
Let's do it.
Right on.
At the moment, we're just stripping the existing roof right down to the wood deck. Once we have done that, we'll put on a vapor barrier and then build it up with the protection board so we can get the water to drain a little better than what it is right now.
This is 10 test or fiberboard, and they've just built it up layer upon layer. We got rotten wood here from that's the old roof. They went over the rotten wood with 3/8 plywood, 2 layers of 10 test, and then the roofing over that. This just actually absorbs water if there's any break in the membrane. It's obviously a little bit of a cosmetic roof job, unfortunately. Looks good from the outside, but it's leaking and it's absorbing water.
We are seeing rust underneath, which tells us we have moisture. We have rust all over the nails. I'm gonna pull this up. I wanna see what's under it. It is an old chimney. Oh, that's not good at all. This is just not professional. It's not the way we do things.
It's not a matter of if it's going to leak, it's when it's going to leak. My 16-month-old daughter sleeps under the part of the roof that is the worst part.
Well, I can see that the roofer did resheet the roof, but he didn't care about the valley that he had around the skylight. That just kind of blows me away. We should have some J trim across the top of this, or D200, which is half corner bead, and what that's going to do is help keep moisture out of the drywall itself and wick it down and give mold. He did tie into this area here, because we can see it. This is where he's finished the new sheeting. This is dividing right approximately here in between the 2 houses. So he leaves the old boards. Obviously, that's what was here. They were rotted out. I don't know what he's done here. We are seeing rust underneath, which tells us we have moisture, possible leakage underneath, because we have rust all over the nails, all over the washers. He had to put just a little more care into this. We wouldn't be here pulling this new stuff up. And a pain in the ass. Well, you can see that he's new sheeting. He's come around, he's stopped, gone around the old boards. I guess he figured, you know, they're still not that bad. Okay, no big deal. Let's make sure we have a true nailing edge underneath. He could have carried it up on over top of here, which is what I would have done. Brought it right up. Give us more of a slope on this side. Strange, because that's exactly what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna carry my wood right to here. I'm gonna pull this up. I wanna see what's under it. It is an old chimney. Not a real good way of covering that up. So they just covered over the old chimney, and actually they took the paper from the bundles of shingles and just stuffed it in there. There is insulation in the chimney. That's good. I'd rather see Roxol Plus in it because it's completely fireproof. I don't like it that nothing's tied in. And I guess they looked at the chimney and went, work around it. I don't know. This is strange. Well, I'm just taking a look at the joint here. I don't want to see any rotten wood at all. Hopefully there is none. We only have about a 1-inch gap here, where we have about a 4-inch over there. It just shows they started sheeting. They didn't even know how to square this up. Oh, that's not good at all. They just have a rubber fitting here. Why the hell did they do that? Looks like they went from 4-inch to 3-inch. No, I find this funny, I really do. They even went to the extent of putting on a 90 to keep the water from going down. They believed there was a leak within the pipe. However, they have a rubber fitting from 4-inch to 3-inch. Now I've got to cut this open, buy the fittings, and get this right, because I'm not going to leave this. What if someone leaned against it? Somebody comes up and pushes, breaks the seal simply because it's not rigid. This is just not professional. It's not the way we do things. Well, you can see what they did. Why stop here? Why leave this piece in here? Why leave this piece, this piece? at least clean it to this point, right? They could have taken a saw, clean, cut that right across, brought their wood up. I'm not gonna worry about pulling this up because I'm resheeting this. So I'm now gonna bring my plywood right to here. I'm gonna leave what they've done, and I'm gonna go over it. Years ago, we were allowed to put 3 layers of shingles on a roof. That's one hell of a weight load. Nowadays, we're only allowed to put 2. So why even wait? Why do 2? Just get it up, take it all up again, inspect the area. You may need to resheet. Who knows if it's rotten wood? Go new again. Added holes for the vent. We need that for ventilation inside the attic. And that's how they do it. Cut a small hole in the wood and put a vent cap over it. All the roof's up, all the shingles are down. We've cleaned up, we have no nails in the neighborhood. I'm determining the highest point, and it sure looks like that side, but we're just gonna do a measurement here. And the level tells me it is, because I want it to run that way. It doesn't have to be much. I don't want it running into the house. Let's start with 1.5 inch 2x4 from this point here, right across. It'll help cover this gap so we can also screw it into here and screw it into here. Yeah, let's pull out this board.
Pull the whole damn
It's
thing
too
out.
high. Pull this one out. So let's pull this one, this, and this. Now that's nice to see. We have all 2x8s with a 1x2 on top of it to build it up. Nice to see for roof rafters, let me tell you. We just removed this one because we had a high point here, and I want the high point here, actually up at this side. Over the years, we have sunk down at this area, and it doesn't surprise me at all. It usually sinks in the center of the house, but it's something that I want to correct right now. Maybe he didn't want to do this because it was just too much for him. I'm going to start off with a long length of 2x4 running right down to the edge. From this point, we will determine how much we're going to build up around the skylight to make sure that we're up and around the skylight and it runs off and it runs down. Well, I want to keep it true, right? So I don't want to just go to the existing, so we're going to shim this as necessary.
Yep.
And we have a nice run down there, so I'm pleased with that. We are doing a subroof over the roof, but I'm gonna keep it true. So if I were to just screw this bottom plate right down like that, I've created another gully. So I'm gonna keep that up, I'm gonna shim this area, and everything will start from this point out. So let's make some shims. Let's take some 3/4 inch plywood, cut 3-inch strips, 1/2 inch plywood, 3-inch strips. I'm fine with that, drop one, yep. 1.5 inches even there. Okay, let's bring it down to this point right here, close to the skylight, good. Almost 2 inches. Okay, it's fairly close to the center in that point. Because we have such a gully in this point, I will continue with 2x4s this way, shim them up, keep the trueness, and we will start to tear down using the 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch plywood. I chose a very straight 2x4 just to show me, you know, where my valleys are. I'm right on the peak with the end, I'm right on the edge with the other end, and it shows our dip. So, of course, this is gonna hold water. Even though it's running this way, it's gonna hold water down here the way we saw it before. Because I'm cupped this way, I want a filler strip on the edge. So we will bring our sheets right out. We have a solid edge for the capping to go over top of. It also gives me a tie-in to, you know, where I want the next pieces in. But because it cups, I can't just scribe a line. I can't get under it and scribe a line. So I'm going to certain points and measuring, and then I'll mark that off.
Another 1/4 inch. Okay, right there.
This is real hard when it's cupped this way, and everything's out. To try and create this trueness, we really have to check, double check both ways to keep our trueness. It's just a pain, but we're almost there. Screw there, screw here, pick the highest point. Maybe he didn't want to do this because it was just too much for him. It's easy to say this is going to cost another $1,000, but I recommend it. The homeowners want it done right, and I think they would have paid it. So what we've completed today is that we've raised the backside so we have a runoff this way. Very gradual, but a runoff. We have a major runoff this way, which we keep. Around the skylight, I've lifted up around the skylight at all points, except for this point here, which will now, because it is a slight run this way and a slight run this way, runs around the skylight and gets off the roof. Tomorrow morning, after these are down, we are going to put the vent stack back in place.
We didn't put it in yesterday because we wanted to cut this little hole out. Just make it as tight as possible as opposed to what was there. It was flopping all around. By using ABS solvent cement, it's actually glued together and not just clamped. All right, that should do it.
We're ready to start with the roofing. We're going to install a felt paper. That's going to act as our moisture barrier, but it's also a bit of a fire retardant for us while we're working with the torches.
Okay, I see the protection board going over top of the tar paper.
Why we like to use it is it's asphalt saturated, so we mechanically fasten that, and when we torch our membrane on top of it, we have full adhesion, so we know the roof's not going to go anywhere.
That's good. That's really good.
What we're looking at now, Mike, is the base going down. That's the first step in this. That's forming literally the base of the roof, and it's going to be the added protection for the two-ply system.
Over top of this, we have the granulated surface, which is really going to finish it off.
Any color is really good, but white's good. It keeps the building cool. It reflects the sunlight a little bit more than a darker color.
So the top coat's now going up onto the peak, and you're just going to shingle over that?
Yeah, we've extended it up 3 feet, Mike. So we have to anticipate a snow load, and you don't want ice backing up underneath the shingles, so 3 feet will give us that protection.
That's good. That's the way to do this.
Yeah.
I noticed we have a guy across the way here doing a flat roof, same as us. I take it he saw us doing the work and called in a roofer because he did have a lot of water on top of that. I pointed that earlier here.
Yeah.
Fergus is just putting in the last of the vents and just finishing off the shingles over top of the overlay. And we're gonna do a ridge cap across the top here because they did a real poor-ass job of it, just using liquid tar. It'll never last. It's already cracked. It's cracked actually almost all the way across. And he's gonna torch that down. This prevents any leaking in between the houses. Where you have a standard peak and you have a roof cap. Cutting that corner allows us to bend that nice and simple. And then by the time the next one comes in, you don't see the edge of it. He took his time and chalked the line up here. From the street, you look up and you see clean. And we will do some caulking on the flashing up on the chimney, on the vent stack.
This is an aluminum flange with a rubber gasket wrapped around the ABS 3.5-inch vent stack, and this is just gonna give us our final seal here.
Oh, we're almost done here. I'm gonna finish up my little home movie because we don't want Sandy and Daniel up on the roof. This is originally what it looked like before we went up there. It's garbage. It's all coming down. We'll pull that skylight, we'll re-slope it, tie it in under the shingles, and we'll come back up and take another look. This is originally what it looked like before we went up there. And we remember the water. It was perfect timing because it did rain, and it shows that we have water everywhere in the cup on the roof. The old ABS vent stack, this was the big problem that you had before Christmas, before you had somebody else come in to fix it. It doesn't look bad. The old shingles, the way they did it, the flashing, we remember the flashing with all the holes in it. Now, here's where we go to it. We tore up the existing, and the very first thing we noticed was there was only one layer, and that was the top granulated layer, and that is incorrect. You need a minimum of 2 layers. I think they only do this to save money, and we noticed there was a chimney. I had no idea there was a chimney there.
Me neither.
It was not a big deal the way they closed it up, but they weren't neat about it. I noticed right away we had a problem with the vent stack because of a rubber fitting that was there, and it should have been a 4-inch to 3-inch ABS fitting. From there, this is where we started to true up the floor. The idea was to lose the cup on the deck and shim it up, build it up.
What was the angle like on the roof overall?
Overall, over the years, what it did was it dipped back into the house, so we had to run into the house, and I corrected that by bringing it up and also bringing it back out the way it's supposed to go. So we had to do quite a bit of shimming, keep it away from the skylight, yet keep that runoff from the roof to the edge. Laid down some tar paper on top of the wood, and this just helps really protect the wood before we put down the protection board, which is not a common practice for a lot of roofers out there. I like it. It's not expensive. It's $5 a sheet. It serves 2 purposes. 1, protection board. It protects the membrane. 2, it's fire rated. So as they're torching on the first membrane layer, what it does is bonds to it, and it protects the underneath from burning. So here's the first one going down over top of the protection board. The first layer of membrane is torched down.
So it all becomes one
Piece.
piece.
Here's the granulated layer. This is now the 3rd layer. This goes over top and again is torched down. So what this is going to do is if you ever had high winds, it is not going to blow off. It is attached to your roof. The way the other guys did it, it was not attached to your roof. And there's a finished look.
Oh boy, that's nice.
Wow.
Big difference. We built it up on the center in between the two roofs. They had a very bad tie-in. All 3 new vents. You pull out the old ones, you might as well replace them. They're not that expensive. Nice and sealed around the skylight. I like it very much.
Very nice, clean work there.
You just see no dip there. As a matter of fact, it's about a ½ inch higher at this point than it is here. And everything runs off to the east trough. Kind of ugly around the flashing, sealing up the holes.
That stack looks completely different.
Yep.
It does, doesn't
You
it?
saw the photos of it after the first crew left, when it was kind of tarred at the bottom and had a good angle on it.
I did. Big difference here.
Very big.
And here at your top roof, in between the 2 roofs, we had to put a ridge cap up there because all they did was join the 2 layers and then lay down liquid tar. That's never ever going to last. So we had to burn down the ridge cap.
Because it cracks on the front.
Exactly. It was already cracking. If you do a roof, it should last for 20 to 25 years. Not a year, not 5 years. I don't think you're going to have any worries anymore.
Fantastic.
Especially there's going to be no water sitting on that roof.
That's great. So we'll have no more mosquito breeding.
Good point. If you're willing to pay the price for the proper work, make sure you say that. And make sure it's done. Follow it up, watch it, take pictures. If you notice, we use the white finish on top, and I chose that because your daughter, her bedroom's right under there, and it just helps keep the sun away.
It's especially good knowing that the problem area that was over Sophia's room is the one that's really been taken care of.
This looks like a perfect clean job, and what I liked a lot about this is that when the crew left, I haven't had to go and pick up roofing nails or anything, any single debris. You can just feel like nothing happened.
Well, it is supposed to be what you pay for, right? If your gut tells you this is a good guy, he's talking well, he's trying to educate me, he's trying to work with me, and all I keep hearing is how well he wants to do the job, or how confident he is about what he does. That sounds good to me. Had a hell of a time trying to fix their own problems, didn't they?
Well, they didn't fix them, you did.
No.
All right, then I have done my job.
You did a good, clean job.
Thank you very
Perfect.
much.
Thank
you,
you so
Mike.
much.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of good contractors out there, and obviously not enough of them, but there are good contractors out there. And for all these other guys that just don't care, you know, how do you stop them? How do you change this? Educate. It's the only thing I can see.
Well done. Good job, Mike. Good game, Mikey.
John,
Right on, buddy.
see you tomorrow.
See you, bud.